Hello and welcome everyone to the Polity Primer series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pragya, and recently we are seeing that there are instances of friction between the state governors and the governments. The title of our today's discussion is Governor versus Government, and in this discussion we will be seeing how are governors appointed, role of governor in center-state relationship between the governor and the state government. We'll also see points of friction between the governor and the state government, and we'll also analyze various instances of tussle between the governor and the government, and we'll also try to find a way forward to manage these tussles between the governor and the government. And in the end, we are going to see a practice question for your prelims examination and a practice question for your mains examination. Now let us proceed to see the background of our topic or the context in which we are having this discussion today. So as I was discussing before also, that there are innumerable instances of tussle between the governor and the government, and recently the governor of the Punjab has warned the chief minister that if he will not answer all of his questions, he is going to write a report to the President Draupadi Murmu about imposition of Article 356 in the state. Now let us understand how are governors appointed in our Indian Constitution. So Article 153 mandates that there shall be a governor for each state. The word used in this article is shall. That means the provision of having a governor for the state government is mandated by our Indian Constitution. Then there is Article 155 which talks about the governor shall be appointed by the President. So who appoints the governor in our Indian Constitution? It is the President, and the governor is appointed under the warrant of his hand and seal. Then Article 156 talks about the governor's tenure, although the tenure of the governor is dependent upon the pleasure of the President. But Article 156 clause 3 states that the office of the governor or the tenure of the governor's office shall be for 5 years, and he can resign by addressing his resignation to the President of India. So this was all about the appointment of governor. Now let us proceed to understand the role of the governor in the center-state relationship. The governor is the nominal executive head of the state. So as we know in the provisions of the President of India as well, that the President is the de jure head of the government, and the Prime Minister is the de facto head of the government. So the same happens in the case of governor as well. He is the nominal executive head of the state, the real head being the chief minister of the state. Then he forms an important part of the state executive where he acts as the chief executive head. So the provisions are similar to the President of India. The President of India is the executive head of the parliament, and same is the case with the governor as well, that he is the chief executive head of the state executive. Then role of the governor. He is the vital link between the center and the state. In India, we follow cooperative federalism. So that is why to maintain this cooperation between the center and state, the governor forms a vital link between the central government and the state government. He informs the central government about the day-to-day affairs of the state and how the state is functioning. So he ensures the smooth functioning of the democracy. So as I was discussing this before also, the governor is tasked to ensure that the machinery of democracy in the state is functioning smoothly. And if it does not function smoothly, he can present a report to the President of India regarding the same, and a president's rule can be imposed in the state if there is a breakdown of constitutional machinery in the state. Then the chief minister is appointed by the governor. Article 164 clause 1 talks about the appointment of the chief minister by the governor himself. Then he is bound to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So this is a common provision for both the President of India and the governor, that they are bound to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Now let us proceed to see the points of friction or the points of tussle between the governor and the state government and his relation to the state government. So in recent years, these have been largely about? What have been largely about? The points of friction between the state government and the governor. So the selection of the party to form a government. Basically, whenever the state elections are happened, the largest political party or the party which has achieved a majority in the state elections is called by the governor to form the government in the state. So it is completely his choice whom to call to form the government in the state. So we have seen an example in Maharashtra when Devendra Fadnavis was called by the governor to form a government in the state, but he could only last for 80 hours as the CM of state of Maharashtra, and then he was bound to step down because he could not prove his majority on the floor of the house. So that is why I am saying that it is completely the choice of the governor to whom to call to form the government in the state. Then deadline of proving majority. This is a most important point of friction between the governor and the government. Generally, our Indian constitution does not define a fixed deadline. If there is a no confidence motion against the government in the house of the state legislature, then there is no fixed deadline for the government to prove its majority. Sometimes the governors deliberately do not give enough time to them to prove their majority and declare that the government has lost confidence on the floor of the house. So this is also an important point of friction between the governors and the state governments. Then sitting on bills. A bill cannot become a law until and unless it has received the assent of the president in case of the parliament and assent of the governor in case of the state governments. So there is a history that governors indefinitely sit on bills, and that is why they could not become laws. So this is also an important point of friction between the governors and the state governments, and it is seen as a regular practice that they do not let the bill become a law for a longer period of time by sitting on them. Then passing negative remarks on the state administration. A very famous example of this is passing of negative remarks by the West Bengal governor on Twitter against the current chief minister of West Bengal, that is Mamata Banerjee. So they often indulge in the spat on Twitter, that is a public platform. So this is also a very important point of friction between the state government and the governor, that they intend to pass negative remarks on the administration of the state on public platforms. This should not happen ideally, but yes, this is also a forms of friction between the state government and the governor. Now let us see the tussle between the governor and the government, as I was discussing before also. So first state is Punjab. So as I have mentioned before also, that the governor of Punjab has issued an ultimatum to the chief minister of Punjab, stating that if he is not going to answer to his question, he will write a report to the President Draupadi Murmu, and this report will state that Article 356 should be imposed in the state of Punjab, and the constitutional machinery has failed in the state of Punjab. The tussle started last year after the governor visited border areas in the state and said drugs were being sold openly there and illegal sand mining was rampant. So this tussle has started 1 year before and has reached its zenith this week when a report was asked by the governor from the chief minister of Punjab. Then there is the state of West Bengal. So as I was talking before also, that the governor of the state of West Bengal and the chief minister often engage in spats on the public platform of Twitter, and this has become very common. The governor has been accused of summoning the chief secretary and the DGP police on a regular basis to take a report from them on the regular affairs of the state government, and then when they do not turn up, he takes up the matter to Twitter, often tagging the chief minister. So this is a negative practice that is being followed by the governor of West Bengal, that he involves Twitter in the spat between him and the state government. Ideally, this should not happen. The governor should not wash his dirty linen in the public, but he often takes up to Twitter to pass negative remarks against the chief minister of West Bengal and often tags her on Twitter as well. Then the governor had also withheld his assent to the Howrah Municipal Corporation Amendment Bill 2021, which delayed the civic polls in Bengal. So as I was discussing before also, that this is a major point of friction between the state government and the governors, that they sit on the bills. They do not let the bills pass, and they often deny their assent to bills. So this also happened in the case of West Bengal, when the governor refused to assent to the Howrah Municipal Corporation Bill of 2021, which in turn delayed the civic polls in the state. Then comes the state of Tamil Nadu. The tussle between the current chief minister of Tamil Nadu and the governor is very well known. The governor often criticizes the chief minister and refuses to act on his discretion or on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. The Tamil Nadu governor also dismissed a cabinet minister unilaterally without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, and this has sparked more controversy between the state government and the Tamil Nadu governor. The Tamil Nadu governor also did not act upon the TN admission to undergraduate medical degree courses bill adopted by the assembly in September 2021, and this bill is still pending before him, and this bill is still in abeyance due to the lack of assent of the Tamil Nadu governor. So this was all about the state of Tamil Nadu. Now let us proceed to understand the situation in the former state of Jammu and Kashmir. So in November 2018, the JNK governor Satyamal Malik dissolved the assembly on the recommendation of the centre. He dissolved the assembly, and this paved the way for the centre to later bifurcate the state into two union territories. So Jammu Kashmir currently is divided into two union territories, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. So this dissolution of assembly paved the way for abrogation of Article 370 later. So this was all about the tussle between the state government and the governors, which is very frequent these days. We are every day seeing in this tussle in the newspapers and reading about it also. Now let us see a way forward in this regard. So the Raj Mannar Committee, the role of the governor. The Raj Mannar Committee stressed that the governor of the state should not consider himself as an agent of the centre, but play his role as the constitutional head of the state. So it is often alleged that the governor generally acts as a agent of the central government in the state, but this position is not envisaged in our Indian constitution. As per our Indian constitution, the governor is the constitutional head of the state, and that is why he should remain apolitical in nature and should not show his allegiance to the central government. But this is not happening currently. So the Raj Mannar Committee also mooted for this thing that the governor should act as a constitutional head of the state rather than acting a political agent of the central government. Then comes the Sarkaria Commission. So on the hung assembly provision, hung assembly is when no political party is able to achieve a clear-cut majority on the floor of the house. So the governor is then empowered to call any of the political party to prove its majority on the floor of the house. So this is completely a discretion of the governor, and I have explained this by an example of the Maharashtra governor calling the Devendra Fadnavis to prove his majority on the floor of the house. So this, on the point of this hung assembly issue, the Sarkaria Commission provided the order of preference the governor should follow in selecting a chief minister in such a situation. So it basically gave an order of preference that the governor should keep in mind while selecting the chief minister about whom to call to form the government in the state government in the case of a hung assembly. Then on the question of appointment of governor, it suggested that CM should be consulted in the governor's appointment. Why? Because he is acting as a constitutional head of the state, and if we give the power of appointment in the hands of the president, definitely the president will follow what the central government will say. So again, this makes the governor a puppet in the hands of the central government. That is why the Sarkaria Commission stated that the CM should be consulted while the governor is appointed, so as to reduce the friction between the state government and the governor. Then dismissal of Council of Ministers. The governor cannot dismiss the Council of Ministers when it commands a majority. So let me explain this by an example. What happens is the governor is empowered to dismiss Council of Ministers when a no confidence motion is passed against the Council of Ministers on the floor of the House. But this should not happen deliberately. This should not be done deliberately. In fact, he should protect the Council of Ministers and should not dismiss them deliberately when they command a majority in the House. Then Pucci Commission recommendations of 2007. The Pucci Commission on Center-State Relations said that the governor should invite the leader of a pre-poll alliance commanding the largest number or the largest single party to form the government in case no party or pre-poll coalition has a clear majority. So this is also talking about the case of hung assemblies in which no political party has attained a clear-cut majority. So in these cases, what the governor can do, he can call the pre-poll alliance commanding the largest number or the largest single party to form the government in such cases. So these were some way forward that have been provided by various commissions that were constituted to analyze the center-state relations. So with this we come to a conclusion of our today's discussion. We have seen how a governor is appointed. We have seen what are the points of friction between the state government and the governors. We have also seen instances of tussle between the state governments and the governors, and we have also tried to find a way out to this solution by analyzing the recommendations of various commissions in this regard. Now let us see a practice question for your prelims examination. Consider the following statements about governor. The governor promotes cooperative federalism as he has an important link between the center and the states. The second statement is the governor is the appointing authority of the civil servants in the state. Then the third statement is the governor can dismiss a minister unilaterally without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Which of the following statements are correct? Kindly drop your answer in the comment box below. Now let us see a practice question for your mains examination. Your question is, a governor should be discharging his or her duty in accordance with the spirit of the constitution, not just be an agent of the central government. Comment. So what can be the approach of writing this answer? In introduction, you can write about how a governor is appointed. Then in the body, you can state about the various points of friction that happen between the state government and the governor, and you can quote some of the recent examples which I have quoted in my discussion today. Then in the end, you can write the way forward, that what the various commissions on the center-state relations have stated. And then you can conclude that the governor should be an apolitical head of the state rather than acting as a agent of the central government, and the position of the governor as is envisaged by our Indian constitution is the constitutional head of the state. So he should be definitely working in the favor of the state government. So this is a basic approach for attempting your mains answer on this question. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you have found today's discussion helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such updates. Thank you.